Hi Beauty Fam, today I am doing a review of the new Chanel Tweeds collection, 02 Tweed Purpre. It is this beauty right here. So if you're interested to see how I came up with this look, pretty much an almost all Chanel look, then keep watching. So this is number 2 of the Tweed limited edition series. I do have video 1 of the 01 Tweed Cuivre or copper, and I'll link that up above here and down below. Today we are doing the purple colors. It's purples and pinks, and I almost didn't get this one, so we'll see how this shows up on medium tan brown skin here. And that is what it looks like. So very, very light colors. So these are the colors for the Tweed Purpre 02 palette after 2 swatches. I have the Tatcha Silk Primer down on my face, and then I have one of my favorite foundations, the Cle De Peau Beauty Radiant Fluid Foundation Natural in BF50 Tan Buff. I have the Chanel bronzer, the Sunbath Deep bronzer that came out earlier this year. Love this color, so I have that on as bronzer. And then on my cheeks, I have the new Gucci blush in 05 Rosy Beige. So I definitely thought of this blush to go with this color story, and I have that on, which I'm loving so far. It has this kind of luminosity that is just really, really beautiful. And I'll link above here my review for this product for the Gucci blush. I did pick up all 4 of the Tweed limited edition quads on the chanel.com website. It is still available, but it is also available on other retailers such as Nordstrom. So if you want to get to your Nordstrom points, you might want to check it out and buy it there. The nice thing about buying it at the Chanel website is that they FedEx the product, so you usually get the product between 1 and 2 days, and you also get the beautiful Chanel packaging, like a card and a really nice box. Whereas if you were to buy it via Nordstrom or a third party, like a department store, you wouldn't necessarily get that box or the luxury experience that Chanel Beauty really does offer. We'll start with, I kind of want to use this as all a wash of color and see if this even shows up. And I'm using my Hakuhodo J5522 brush. It's one of my favorite brushes in my collection. On my skin tone, it's definitely kind of like a whitish pink, but there's like a satin finish to this. And I think all of these colors, I don't think there really is a matte. They're all kind of like satin finishes. Really pretty. So if you are wanting a really simple look, I'm wearing a pink camisole today, and so I got my pearls on. So I used to do my makeup like this before I got really heavily into makeup. I would just do a wash of color sometimes, and you can certainly do that with this look. The way I like to do my makeup is that I like to sometimes use the lightest color as a base, just to kind of cancel out any sort of color I'm having, but also I like to see if there's like a wash of color I can just put all as a one and done. Okay, so really pretty, very subtle. And for me, I wouldn't stop here. That's just not my aesthetic now, but I can see if some people, if they just want a wash of color, they could use that. But I'm just actually using this almost like as a base for my next look. So I'm taking a Sonia G soft shader here, and I think I'm going into the second lightest color, which is this one here, just to build up some depth. And I'm gonna just do a look on this eye here. Okay, so that is what that looks like. And this, you can actually stop here. What I'm gonna do is actually go into that light shade again and just build up this crease here, just so that there's kind of like some contrast between the two. And this is a simple eye look that a lot of people do that just want to do 2 shades and then call it a day and just have a really light ethereal look. I would probably recommend dragging some of that color down just so there's some continuity between that top and here we go, like this. 2 shades, the 2 lightest shades in this quad. So that light pink one and this kind of mauve-y pink color. I love colors like this. I'm so glad I didn't sleep on this because this is a very simple palette that I could just see running out the door and then doing my makeup in the car or to an event and just having 2 colors, and it's really beautiful. I'm going to grab this deeper shade and run it as liner. I think what I might do is actually grab this Hakuhodo brush, and it doesn't have a number, but grabbing that 3rd deepest shade and then just putting it on the outer V here. It's not much dimension. It looks pretty similar to this color, but it does add a little bit of dimension here, which is a tiny bit in my outer V. And so I want to keep this eye really light. And then what I'll do is do it deeper on this side, and then I might even it up at the end. Okay, so that is pretty much the first look. Let me do this. I'm going to take that same shade I tried to deepen the outer V and just line it right here, just so it's deepened a little bit. It's the first eye. Very light, very ethereal looking. I take my Hakuhodo squirrel brush. I'm kind of curious to see how that brush might translate for these shadows as an all over one and done. I love using this squirrel hair brush when I want to do a one and done, just because it's so soft on the lids. And my eyes are pretty irritated right now. In the Pacific Northwest here, we're having a lot of wildfires and the air quality has been terrible. So my eyes and allergies, all that has been acting up. So that's a one and done over here. Really pretty. And you could just certainly just use that and be done with this look. So I'm going into this color here, which is this one. Okay, so out of these two, on the eyes, you don't really see a difference. So swatching, it looks like a difference, but it's starting to just kind of muddle together, just so something to note of that. Because I want some contrast, I'm going to go into this with my finger and then use that as a contrasting shade here. Out of all the colors, this lightest one is the closest to being kind of like more of a matte, but it's definitely a satiny matte. And what I want to do is actually take some of that light color and then put it in my brow bone. Okay, just a little contrast there. And then also my inner corner. Okay, I'm taking my Esom W36 Sable hairbrush and then going into the deepest shade here, which is this one, and just kind of building dimension in this outer corner. There we go. I like that because there's some depth and then dimension. This side versus that. I'm gonna go in with this brush again. This is that Hakahodo brush that doesn't have a number, and then the deepest shade, and then just going into that V area just to, again, adding depth to that outer V. Taking a Lotus Series Soft Definer, going into this color here, what we started with, and using that to line the bottom lash. I'm gonna even that up over here as well. And then taking that pencil brush here again and just kind of dragging some of that lighter color here. Just adding a little bit more for depth. Okay, so that is the finished look. Okay, so let me finish my eye look and I'll be back. Okay, so I finished up the eye look. I finished with mascara MAC Giga Black for my bottom lashes, the Volume de Chanel mascara for my top lashes for volume. I was trying to figure out what eyeliner would match this quad. And since it says purple, I thought maybe purple would be best, but you can see the purples I have are very deep purples, so nothing like grape purple. I actually pulled out my Wayne Goss Essential Eye Kohl pencil in the color Copper Flame, and I'll do a swatch here just so you can see. So I love his kohl pencils, so that's a great color. So I started not tight lining, but getting close to my eyelash as possible for that. And then I grabbed my Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liner in the color Bordeaux. And I had to be careful with this. I have oily lids, and so it's so emollient that it can transfer on my lids. But this is such a beautiful, beautiful liner. So then I went in and smudged it a little bit. So it just kind of amps up the color of this quad a little bit. So I did smudge it on top, you can see. And I laid down that Wayne Goss first because I didn't want it to smudge as much. With this, is a little bit drier, so it's kind of like almost like a pre-liner that I did and then put this on top so this wouldn't get too unwieldy. So I love these. I want to get more of them. I just don't use them all the time. I have to use them in a particular way because I have hooded eyelids and you know, there can be transfer. So I have to be like really mindful of how I use it. Either way, this is a beautiful look. I'm so glad I did not sleep on this quad. You know, I've been seeing some reviews of this because when I'm on the fence about some quads, I'm not sure if I'm gonna get, I do end up like looking at reviews, and the reviews on, and I'm gonna just even this up here. And some of the reviews of this were like, don't get it, it doesn't have enough depth, but I love this. This is kind of like my wheelhouse. I have a lot of kind of these like these purple mauve colors in my collection of my clothes, and it can be hard to find purple mauves that actually work on my skin tone. So the last ones that I could think of, I don't have it on hand with me now, is the Natasha Denona Love Palette, but that's more of like a deep purple and reds. There are not too many of these like pinky mauve tones in that color story. So I'm gonna put on, I think right now I'm gonna use 196 A Demi Mont, which is from the nude collection that Chanel just released. So I'm gonna put that on. I think with this color, because it is lighter, it's probably a good idea to use a little bit of a liner. Nice. So I'm grabbing the Affair liner from Lisa Eldridge. It's this color here. Okay, so that's the Affair liner with 196 A Demi Mont lipstick, the Chanel Nudes line. Beautiful color. It goes really well with this look. Okay, so let's talk about the quad. So you saw that I tried to do more of a kind of a light ethereal look on this side, and then I just put in a little bit of the deepest of those three I put that in the outer corner, like just like here to add depth. I think this is my favorite for like an everyday daytime look. I actually don't know if I would go this glam, but maybe just amp it down. And then I wanted to use all of the quad colors on this side to see how much smokier I could get. And actually, let me go a little bit smokier so you can see how much further it can go. So let me go into, sorry, let me go into this, the deepest plum purple color. Okay, so you can see this is a very kind of monochromatic color story. And I think the biggest takeaway that I saw, at least reviews for this quad, is that there's not much depth. And I could see that. I mean, that's a fair thing to say. But it's not going to be like a Natasha Denona where you have a variety of colors for extra depth. For someone who knows Chanel for on brand, it's very subtle. For me, I think this is kind of what I'm looking for, like an understated kind of rosy purple glam look. I think it's beautiful. And is it like Natasha Denona, Pat McGrath level, wow pow, like zhuzh it up and having lots of contrast editorial looks? I don't think so. And that's not what you're gonna get from Chanel. I think knowing that's what the brand is, Chanel is about color stories, very understated and elegant and simple. This is a beautiful color story. So I'm so glad I didn't sleep on this. Sometimes I do that. I see other people's review, and that's why I started my channel, is that I don't see very many content creators with my skin tone, and actually like my aesthetic. I don't do a lot of like really high editorial looks. That's just kind of my preference, and that's fine. I see some people with my skin tone, but their look is definitely more like they're gonna go after indie brands, put on a lot of makeup. They want to use a lot of yellows, oranges, just the whole color palette. Beautiful. I love following those content creators. And there's not very many that use just simple, elegant looks with my coloring. So that's also why I started my channel, is that I just, if it helps someone out, great. I'm so happy. And even if you're not my coloring and it still helps you out, wonderful. I love that. And we can share knowledge and just spreading the joy of makeup and talking and geeking out about makeup. So I would say, like, if you love purples like I do, don't sleep on this one. It's beautiful. I'm seeing other content reviewers that are like, pass on it because you're not gonna get much depth. For me, I love it. I love it. This is like something I can see using all the time. I'm going to do some comparisons now. And so the one that I thought of right off the bat, because Natasha Denona just came out with my dream palette, and it kind of reminds me of this, is the retro palette. So this reminds me a bit of like the retro palette. So you can see that they're cousins in a way. And you can see I kind of like that color. I got an orchid back there with that same color story. So this might be kind of a dupe. Nope, it's very purpley. And that's the thing with Natasha Denona, you never know until you actually use it on your eyes, like how much deep of a color story you're gonna get. Let's see if any of these two are similar. Nope. So these are definitely running more like red, purple, which I'm not mad about. I love this one, this palette. Okay, that's a little bit more pink. So yeah, that is the color story, and I don't see anything from that palette. So, I think it's very similar, the vibes, the color. Let me do two more if I can find them. Probably that lightest one, and then maybe the last two are like the closest I could find of being closest to that color story. So I'm actually, what's confusing me, I'm gonna do my swatches over on this hand because I have too many swatches on the other side. Okay, so here's the Chanel color story swatch on the side. I just have too many swatches on the other side and it's starting to confuse me. I think if I found two that were similar, which are these two. So this is Natasha Denona Retro. And it's not exactly the same. This is a little bit more deep and brown and shimmery. So it's not an exact dupe, but it's definitely kind of like a cousin color story to the Chanel one. I pulled out the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions 2 palette, and I think this is too red. I don't see anything too similar here, maybe this middle one, and then do this one and this. So this is the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions 2 palette. Okay, so that's pretty close. I think that's more similar than Natasha Denona. So these three here are the Patrick Ta one. So I thought of my Suqqu quads, and that can be harder to get because these are available only in Asia and then in the UK. So I'm going to swatch probably these three. This is more of a brown, so that's not gonna be a good match. And a lot of these this is an older Suqqu quad. This is 136, Suqqu Designing Color Eyes in 136. And the name is in Japanese, and I don't read Japanese, so. That's definitely redder than I thought it'd be. So maybe these two, also very muted. This red one, pink, is like definitely brighter than I thought. This is the Suqqu Designing Color Eyes in 135. I don't even know if that's available still. The closest might be that purple, but this is a really popping purple. I don't think that's gonna be a dupe for anything. Yeah, that's the purpley purple one. So this is Signature Color Eyes 04. I think that's definitely still available. I'll put them up here. As well. Oops. So it's definitely more of a purpley quad. The Suqqu Signature Color Eyes in 113, and I don't think that's available anymore. These are, a lot of time these are limited edition, and that's too deep. So I definitely have a type. You can see I love the purples and the mauve pinks. So I think this is a great quad for if you want to get smoky, which is this for an evening look, or you saw me at the beginning do a little bit more of like a light wash of one and done on each eye. I'm certainly happy to do that as one and done. You don't have to use all the colors in this palette. So if you love colors that lean on purple and mauve pink tones, this is definitely for you. It comes with this beautiful pouch. And I'm sure you've probably seen other reviews. This pouch has of the Chanel lining in there, kind of on brand with the Chanel tweeds jackets. And the color story of the tweed pouch matches the color story of the quad as well. So one thing I did start to notice is that these fit in pretty snugly. So you kind of just want to be kind of careful with these. The embossing will wear down, and that's part of why a lot of people like these, is that there's actually tweed embossing on the color shadows, on the eyeshadows. But if you're someone who's actually going to use your makeup, it's going to wear down. So just know that. I use my makeup. I'm not going to just buy it and look at it. So I think that's it. That's it for my review. Let me know what you think of this look. That's the final look. I love this. I'm so glad I didn't pass on this. I just usually follow my instincts of like, you know, I'm seeing it on people that don't have complexions on me. Let me just try it out and see how it looks on me. So I'm so happy I didn't sleep on it. I like a lot of the 01 Tweed Couvre, the copper one, just because it's so fall. I can see using that. It's like more of a neutral, like you can use that with any colors when you're wearing, but I do have a lot of purples and pinks in my wardrobe and like beiges. So this for me is kind of like that neutral that I need for those pieces in my wardrobe that I have. So let me know what you think of this eye look, or do you have any dupes that you might think that could replace these? Are you interested in getting this, or did you pass? I could see this not being as good if you were deeper complected. I think these might start to get muddy. So I could see that would be my recommendation. I think if you are deeper skin tone than me, that these probably won't show up. And then if you're paler than me, if you're lighter than me, these are gonna still be a little bit more monochromatic, but it might turn, instead of purple, it might turn a little bit, I don't know, you can use a light hand too, as you saw. These might turn a different color on you. I'm not sure what that would be, other than maybe a little bit deeper purple. but for my skin tone, it's perfect. I just love it. So let me know what you think. I hope this review was helpful. And then I still, at the end, above and below, I will try to link, when all of the reviews are up, I will try to link all of 0, 1, 2, and 3, and 4 of my reviews of these Chanel quads. If you enjoyed the content today, please consider sharing the video. That helps me out too, commenting or liking below if you feel so compelled. And I would love to have you join the Mickey Carr Beauty fam. Click on the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that you are notified of when I load up the videos. So if you have any questions, happy to answer them. And also I'm thinking about doing a 1-year on YouTube anniversary video where I might not be doing a makeup review, but more of a Q&A of questions you have. So do you have any questions that you would like to ask me? I'm happy to do a video. So I'm going to do likely a 1-year on YouTube video Q&A to get to know me better. So I would love to hear any questions you have, and then probably thinking about doing a giveaway. So let me know what you think below. Would love to hear from you. And as always, please be very kind to yourself and others and just be you. Until the next video, Beauty fam, take good care. Bye.